Hello, I'd like to talk to everyone today about delivering confidence in color lifecycle management. There are many trends that are affecting the textile and apparel market today, three of which are around globalization, consumer shifts, and technology evolution. Under globalization, tariffs and trade uncertainty are having a major effect on sourcing strategies with brands. Brexit is coming into play, the tariff wars, all of which are creating a sense of uneasiness with brands and textile markets, causing orders to be smaller and causing the lead times to be shorter. The new China effect. China is quickly overtaking the US as a mass fashion consumer. In addition to that, traditional Chinese manufacturing are looking for new areas of development with lower labor costs, looking in areas such as Vietnam and Africa. The search for right manufacturing. Brands are consistently looking for new avenues of production that are able to match their cost and price point, in addition to have the right capability for the product they're looking to produce. With consumer shifts, the digital generation has, with their now and never expectation, the point of discovery and the point of purchase is now smaller than ever. Is now smaller than ever, and they're looking to, brands have to adjust to make sure that they have their right inventories. They have to make sure that the product is available, ensuring that the product that the consumer sees online, making sure that that's what's being delivered. And that causes a new strain on their control of inventory and their supply chain. Next, sustainability and transportation. Sustainability is becoming very, very important these days, given the environment, and young people are honing into that, making sure that they are being kind of loyal to brands that embrace sustainability. Mills are also looking to, and brands are also looking to transparency of their supply chain, making sure that the raw materials that are being used are coming from sustainable and ethically sourced products, making sure that their suppliers are also engaging in ethical human rights issues. And so all of that is new for the supply chain and having to manage that. But they're engaging in that because it's right for the environment, and it's also enables them to maintain their consumer base. The sharing, recycle, and reuse economy. Clothing subscription services are on the rise more than ever. This is where people can pay a subscription, they can get new outfits, try on new clothing. If they decide to keep it, they can purchase it with a discount. And if not, they can send it back and get something new. So this is on the rise. The recycle, everyone is aware of recycling in so much as bottles and cans, but apparel recycling is also on the rise, where brands are allowing consumers to bring back their old goods. They take them and they can get discounts on new product, and the brand will take those old goods and recycle them and create new product as well. The reuse economy. The reuse economy is pretty much engaging in talking about vintage clothing stores, how people are not necessarily in the sense for newness as in brand new, but newness in experimenting and changing their look and being conscious of how much they consume, kind of like improving their carbon footprint, if you will. This is happening to the point where some vintage stores are actually becoming more popular than Fifth Avenue shops. Technology evolution. These days, new innovative materials are coming on board. With the use, fabrics are being made from recycled paper, recycled wool, and also there's smart fabrics that are coming on board, fabrics that can also kind of do scientific things as far as effectively wicking away moisture, some of which you can actually has power to it where you can plug in your music. So all of those things are on the rise. New LED technology. LED technology has been around for some time now, but the development of which is now more evasive than ever. We have LED products and lighting in our homes. We have LED products in the store. And because it's ever changing, it's making it difficult for color development because there's not a standardized LED light source to review color under. So brands are having to make sure that they're in sync with their consumer supply chain to make sure that they are using the same LED light source. Made to order products. Technology is causing a new brand of companies to come about, and also established brands are having to kind of look into and adopt this new avenue of production. Made to order production now, there are brands that allow you to take your measurements and you can send those measurements in and they'll make product for you. You can dictate the color of your shoes. You can have all of those types of things custom made for you. So with all of that going on, how do brands not only survive, but how do they thrive in this environment? And how do they make sure that they deliver the desired product to the consumer in a timely fashion while balancing cost and quality? Well, what they have to do is they have to adopt an agile digital system and process that can effectively allow them to control their cost and let them monitor their resource allocation, monitor their quality, and monitor their supply chain. But looking at the McKinsey Apparel Go-to-Market Process Survey from last year, 2018, over 80% of the respondents of that survey lack digital tools and the capabilities. Also, nearly 80% feel that they're too slow in bringing new products to market. And just to give you some insight, the McKinsey Apparel Survey was a survey that was done last year with 54 top-level executives from merchandising, sourcing, and brands that took this survey. So, how does color fit overall into this process? Color is oftentimes an afterthought. It's unpredictable. It's often the last piece of the puzzle. And there's an emotional aspect of choosing color when you are at the beginning of the season or in your development process and you have the creative team together trying to tell the seasonal story. Color can get somewhat emotional. All of these things can somewhat create bottlenecks in your color system. Referring back to the McKinsey survey, 54% of online purchases are returned because of incorrect color and size. In addition to that, each round of a physical color approval in your production chain can add 2 or more weeks to the production timeline. So this is why it is critical that color is done correctly and color is enhancing your brand, because it goes to enhance your brand and it's critical to a product. So don't let color become your bottleneck in your system. I want to offer up to you 4 strategies that can ease, if not alleviate, the bottleneck of color in your workflow. So let's get objective and let's take the visual inconsistency of a subjective color review process or subjective assessment of color. Let's take out that subjectivity. So when you engage in a visual color evaluation process, you're engaging in a process that's highly administrative, it's time intensive, time consuming, and it can yield inconsistent results. So what I'd like to do is to kind of walk you through what that visual evaluation process looks like from a time perspective, and we can then evaluate that against a digital evaluation process. So the visual process is going to begin at the brand. The brand is going to send color choices, and it's going to send artwork without color standards to the mill color lab. At that point, the mill is going to do a visual color match. It's going to separate the colors, and then it's going to order color standards for them to produce. Once they get the color standards, then they're going to send that information to the mill dye lab, and the mill dye lab is going to make lab dips or strike-offs for those samples. Once that's done, they're going to do a visual assessment. And once they get to a point they feel there's something that can be approved, they're going to send that to the brand for review. Of course, now all of this is taking place. The sending back and forth is being done by FedEx. So in addition to the development time, you also have the transfer time that's built into the system. Once the brand gets the lab dip or the strike-off, there is a whole administrative process, as you can see here, that they have to go through that's very time-consuming. And assuming that the brand approves it on first round, it'll go into mill bulk production, but you are already at the point of being approximately 28 days into production cycle. And this is just taking into assumption that you're going to have a first round approval. Many times that doesn't happen. So once you have to get rejection, then you have to go back through the process again. And you can see how time consuming it is, to the point where you are approximately at 54 days for one color. So now I understand, and we all know that this is not written in stone. This is, you know, sometimes it's going to be less time, but sometimes it's going to be more time. But I think we can all agree that is a very subjective and administrative and time-intensive system. So let's take a look at the digital process. Using digital measurements with your spectrophotometer, you will ensure consistent results, you will improve your overall speed, and you can reduce costs. So walking through this cycle, it again begins at the brand. The brand is going to send the artwork and the strike-offs in a QTX format, where the color lab at the mill is going to receive it instantly via email. Once they get that information, they're going to use their digital formulation software to create a color recipe and send that to their dye mill. The mill is going to make a sample. They're going to do a digital inspection with their spectrophotometer, but no sample is going to be sent until they are pretty confident of a color approval. Once they reach that point, they'll create the sample and ship it for aesthetics. The brand will then receive it. They'll do a digital review with a high level of accuracy and success, and then they will do a visual check for aesthetics, and then they'll send the comments to the mill, back to the mill electronically. So given this process, we're looking at approximately 16 days for our total first round approval. And if by chance it doesn't get approved on the first round, you're only looking at an additional 10 days, at which point you're still under the timeline for the first round approval of a visual process. So let's move on to our next section. This is where you understand and know your suppliers and know their capabilities. Once you know their capabilities, you should then leverage your best mills and allow them to do self-color approval. But how do you gain that trust in your mill? You have to do and conduct regular color management and laboratory audits, taking into account the environment, the color lab equipment, and the operators. Oftentimes, you will walk into a mill production lab and you'll see the proper equipment. You'll see that it has been certified professionally on their yearly inspection, but it's not being used correctly. Oftentimes you have papers inside your light booth. Your light booth is beside a window. You have spectrophotometers that are being used as bookends. And you have your operators using incorrect practices. They are dressed in bright colors, reviewing colors in the light booth. So what you have to do is you have to engage in having color lab audits and managing the color lab equipment correctly. In doing so for your environment, you have to make sure your environment is clean, make sure that if the lab is conditioned, that those conditions are being monitored. For your lab equipment is clean, it's calibrated and certified, and making sure that your operators are educated in regards to proper color reviewing techniques, that they're trained, and that they are regularly color tested. So what this does, this actually creates a win-win for both the brand and the mill. By taking on these best practices, the mill will be able to proactively identify opportunities to improve their overall operating efficiency. In addition to that, they'll be able to use these techniques and market themselves as best in class for processes, people, and technology, which will allow them to gain more business. For the brand, it ensures the supply chain can deliver the quality expectation for color, expedite product development with the tools and expertise to deliver right first-time product, and it gives them a contingency plan and a library of mills that they know can deliver the quality and the timing that they need. So let's go on to data-driven decision-making. Using data to gain transparency to your mills and understanding their workflows, there are many things that have to be considered in key decisions at a mill. As you can see here, all of these things in some point will have to be considered in making a key decision at a mill. If you make those decisions with subjectivity, you can increase your timelines, you'll have inconsistent results, and cost. So as you can see, there's a theme here, time, cost, and quality that are all affected and have an impact on whether you're using subjective methods or digital objective methods. When you enable data-driven decision-making, the data gives you the ability to make effective business decisions that are important to you. Finally, let's take a look and stop making and wasting time on the impossible. Feasibility assessments, understanding the capability of your dye stuffs and your substrate fabrications. Many times this is not considered at the beginning of the development season, and many brands will go through and get to the middle or the end of a developmental season and then only to realize that their dye stuff and their fabrication are not cohesive and not working together. This, of course, costs money and waste of product and time and fabrication. And if you have this program wrapped around a huge launch or a floor set, there's an incredible amount of dollars that's lost in this process. So what should be done? The color team should be brought to the table at the beginning of the season. The team should be able to sit down using digital color formulation software, understanding the dye stuffs that your mill and your supply chain are using, along with the substrates, and determine ahead of time what specific colors can be achieved on specified substrates. Understanding this will save time, money, by eliminating unattainable color and fabric combinations. So, in closing, I hope I've conveyed that the use of proper equipment and using the digital information that you have at hand from using that equipment will allow you to objectively manage color more effectively for more product types. It will, you'll be able to make more informed decisions by leveraging the data that you have by using these tools. manage color more effectively through your production and production workflow and timeline, and also give you the confidence to empower your supply chain to help you in these decisions, because they also have a vested interest just like you do. So, thank you.